Hey everyone, this is Patrick, and I am back for another edition of Heavy Therapy. This is a collection update, and let's get to the updating. First up is some experimental avant-garde death metal. This is Crypt with Nightmare Traversal, and yeah, Crypt have a demo, an EP, and then this full length came out in 2020. They're from the Netherlands, and Sentient Ruin Laboratories put this out. And this is not for the faint of heart. This is noisy. This is on the edge of auditory enjoyment. And sometimes I like that. If you like Alteridge, Portal, check out Crypt. Let's see what the hype sticker says. On their hallucinatory official debut album, Dutch experimental raw death metal deliriance crypte funnel aberrant improvisation, suffocating freeform composition, and complete aural delirium into over 30 minutes of nauseating and vertigo-inducing raw death metal destruction. If that sounds good to you, or if it sounds like you want to attempt to get into something like this, again, Portal, Alteridge, if you at all are curious about that type of experimental death metal, check out Crypt, Nightmare Traversal. Don't think it comes, yeah, it comes on black wax. And next up is actually, I received a vinyl care package from a friend of mine on Metal Twitter named Kevin. And Kevin was generous, kind, thoughtful enough to pick me up this Full of Hell EP called Aurora Leaking from an Open Wound. Full of Hell is my favorite Deathgrind band ever, and they were selling this brand new EP on tour, on their co-headlining tour with Blood Incantation, and there were two variants, yellow and green. This is the green variant, and yeah, I was excited that Full of Hell was putting out new music. It's a different kind of art style than they've been doing as of late, so I was curious if the music was any different. Um, yeah, Full of Hell, when they started, they were more hardcore, drone, and doom, and then they became Deathgrind. I think of this as Full of Hell as its current incarnation, Deathgrind, playing, tipping the hat a bit to their older style. And if you also know their Melvins cover, they covered Oven on one of their other EPs from a couple years back, 5, 6, 7 years back. This is slower, mid-paced, Full of Hell songs. It's not even really Deathgrind. It's the death metal come in the vocal performance from Dylan. One of his best vocal performances is on this these 6 minutes of music here. It's longer than 6 minutes, I think, actually, probably around 9, 10 minutes. But yeah, more mid-paced, Full of Hell. This is awesome. This is incredible. And again, I thank Kevin for picking me up a copy of this and just generously sending me a copy. He did not have to do that. So very, very nice of him. Another 2022 release. This album, as of recording, came out yesterday. I've had it for a few days. I've spun it 4 times. This is the new Ripped to Shreds. And this is, I forgot how to pronounce it. This is Jubian. And this came out on Relapse Records. Ripped to Shreds play a very unique style of old school death metal, and that might sound like a contradiction, but they blend a lot of different styles what's the most old school about it is the commitment to the HM2 guitar tone, and also just the commitment to unrelenting, true death metal. But there's punkier moments, there's brutal moments, there's doomier moments, there's some shreddy guitar playing as well. But all the riffs are quite intricate, and uh, yeah, this album is really good. Probably my favorite Rip to Shreds album so far out of the three full length releases. Can't really tell in here, but there's a, yeah, you can, there you go. There's an embossed, the album title is there embossed in Han Chinese characters, and amazing cover art. I got the red, blood sky red or blood red variant here on Relapse Records website. And yeah, as far as modern bands playing this exact style of old school death metal, there are other examples, but I think Rip to Shreds are one of the best examples of currently doing that style. Rip to Shreds, their 2022 album out on Relapse Records. Let's keep the new releases coming. This is a band that I referenced. This is Alteridge with their vinyl only album called Soul Corrupto. And this was intriguing. It's sort of like the music vinyl buyer equivalent of clickbait, right? You tell me an avant-garde experimental death metal band that I have recently been getting into has a vinyl only release that's hand numbered out of 500, and I am going to pick it up. And that is what I did. So, yeah, Alteridge is again one of those bands that play on the edge of auditory experimentation. This is labeled as some of their most extreme music yet, and I actually think that is not true. Uh, the This is a bit more drony than I expected, a bit more ambient than I expected. The first song is probably the most familiar Alterage song, noisy, yeah, noisy, experimental, sludgy death metal, but definitely worth checking out. If you can find somehow to listen to it online first, I would recommend that because it's not going to be for everybody. Again, there's three songs on it, and the final song is an 18-minute drony ambient track that doesn't do a lot. So in that sense, maybe it's extreme because it tests your patience, right? But it's not as loud and noisy and weird as I thought it would be. But maybe that says something about my taste. It's going to be weird for a lot of people for sure. Altered with Soul Corrupto, and let me see, it came with a cool. There's a great, an interesting part on track two where you can hear the whip snap a couple times. That's pretty. That definitely is kind of gives you some chills. Here's the lyrics, and yeah, I got copy 369 out of 500. The variant is just translucent with a little bit of black smoke inside it. And yeah, check out Alteridge. I know Meteor Gem is selling copies of this in the United States, for example. 2022, the second half of 2022 has delivered some top-notch death metal albums, and I don't know if there has been a better example, a better August onward death metal album than this one. This is the debut album from Autophagy with Bacteriophage. Check out the artwork. Check out the back artwork. Denver, Colorado based death metal outfit. Lyrics inside. Just check that out. So, a lot of bands are, playing this similar style of old school death metal not the HM2 style, but the Mortal Throne of Nazarene Incantation style death metal. This album right here, if you love this style of death metal, came out in the early 90s. This album came out in 1994. There's a lot of good bands right now emulating and imitating this style. This right here is one of the best I've heard from the last few years. Other bands that they sound like would be Undeath, Crypt, Cerebral Rot, Malignant Altar, Black Vinyl, out on Pulverised Records. Yeah, if you like what's going on right now in the death metal underground, this album's awesome. Uh, uh, Autophagy with Bacteriophage. Check this out. And finally, so it's gonna sound funny, and this is gonna be a really only a couple people might understand what I'm saying here, but the smile is to Radiohead what the temple is to Ulcerate. So Ulcerate, an extreme death metal band from New Zealand, Ulcerate, one of my favorites ever. The bassist and vocalist of Ulcerate is the bassist, vocalist, and guitarist of the Temple, and it's a two-piece. So you have that guy. The drummer on this is the original drummer of Ulcerate, who only played on the first demo, first two releases of Ulcerate, no full lengths. They come together last year. Actually, the band's been around for a little while, but they come together last year to put out their first full length, self titled album, The Temple. Some of the coolest artwork probably I've ever seen. I'd have this on my wall. I would buy prints of this guy's work, this person's work. I want to look into that actually. But yeah, what's interesting is if anybody knows my reference there that I said this, the smile is to Radiohead what the temple is to Ulcerate, meaning uh, the main songwriters of Radiohead put out a new band called The Smile earlier this year, and but the soundscape is similar. So the same is here. So if you like Ulcerate, you're gonna love the Temple. The biggest difference is the Temple is more mid-paced, not as extreme. There's not as jazzy, not as there's not really any too many blast beats. They're there a little bit, but yeah, it's a bit more streamlined, but it's still Ulcerate. It's still not going to be for everyone, but if you love Ulcerate sound, you're going to love the Temple. This is a flawless record to me. If you like this style of dissonant death metal, this is the Temple with the Temple. And that is this edition of Heavy Therapy. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll be back very soon. Bye.